Resident Evil.
So the one of the problems with this HD remaster of an already HD re-release is like they remade all the backgrounds here, pre-rendered all the backgrounds again for this release, because this is way better than the initial PS1 release, but they're still not super high resolution enough for like 1080p, so I can still see very clearly that there's a difference between this box that I can't push and this box over here that I can push.
Huh. Yeah, I can't see that here.
Because one of them is a polygon and the other one isn't.
So, I've left this sort of topic open, and now I'd like to come back to it. Like, how should you do the arrow puzzle? Because I actually have a thought on that matter. Alright, so here's my thought on how you should do it, because now everybody's posted their method in the comments, and all of them are better than mine. But...
What is it? What is it?
Whenever you have a puzzle, you should have, like, an interactable sort of zone. Like, you know, like let's say like you're interfering with this, it should cut to like a first person view of the area with all of like the inventory items or whatever you would bring to bear like on screen. Like if you pull out an inventory item, like you move the 3D model in front of you. Again, this is if you're designing it now, not if you had the limitations of then. And you could sort of interact, like pull, you know, move them around, you know, physics. And in the case of the arrowhead, you would be able to select the arrowhead and try to like pull it off. And if you can, then you can stick it in there. So basically, like, use, like, a light physics engine to let you actually manipulate the objects personally. Because then you'd be able to solve the puzzle how you would solve it, really. Which is, you would mess around with the arrow and see if you could pull the arrowhead off.
Well, that would not have even been possible in 1996, is the problem with this game.
No, of course. Like I said, this is not, like... an issue of this is what they should have done. Obviously, those idiots. This is an issue of how would you do it if you wanted to try this today.
One of the things that probably actually would benefit the game in the old version would be the fact that pretty much everything you get is a 4x4 pixel tiny blob, so you would inspect everything anyway. So when you inspected the arrowhead, it would be like, oh, it looks like the thing can come off. Do you want to take it off? Okay, yeah, sure. Whereas in this version, it's very clearly an arrow, and it's like, oh, hey, I've got an arrow. I don't need to inspect it. It's an arrow. I know what they do.
How I would handle it is, I wouldn't have the arrow there. I would just have you go to the door, and it would say the door is locked, and then it would give you the X prompt would flash, and you just press it enough times and push the door open if you just flutter the X key as fast as you can.
Your brute force method.
I think that's a good puzzle for modern games. Is push this button enough times. I gotta say, I'll bet you that, sarcasm aside, I'll bet you that zombie coming out of the tub was pretty scary in 1996.
No, it's horrifying.
I like
when
how
they
there was
the
a
same
whole
thing
like
in,
pre-rendered cutscene for it for getting a dagger, which is just this weapon that you whip out to defend yourself when you get grabbed.
Although, okay, this was another reason I prefer like the weird Silent Hill where it's all about psychological evil and not a sort of biohazard-driven evil. Is what the hell was that zombie doing in the tub?
There. I see what you did there.
Yeah, but what
was
really,
that a pun?
like, what, it, not really, but just sort of like, this isn't supposed to be supernatural. This is supposed to be...
I like how that shotgun was so important that we had to have an Indiana Jones trap to make sure that nobody would steal it.
Oh God.
Umbrella Corporation, we're really serious about our shotguns.
Wesker! Barry!
This is not the only Indiana Jones trap in the game either. Oh, hey, look, he's just here somehow.
This is the
guy
master of
magic.
unlocking one,
he
right?
just teleports.
Steal a
This is
shotgun,
what?
you're gonna get crushed. No, 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 no,
This is the easier method to get the shotgun that I didn't realize that you could do initially.
Hey, he looks like he's
you
the
can
master
find
of
a-
unlocking too.
For some reason later on, like, you can come back here if you don't get the shotgun,
Can I just say how cute it was that the door
Barry.
entryway animation we
That was
just
a
played
close
had you
one.
like being dragged across the ground in the little door
It fit
animation?
nicely into a sandwich.
Really? Thanks. But Barry,
So if you come back
didn't
here
say we're
later,
going back to
like
the
that
dining room
trap
to
will
find
trigger
other
if you take the
clues?
shotgun,
I'm
but
glad
you
and
can
all,
go
but
back
why
into
are
the
you
room.
here?
And you can find a
I
broken
just had
shotgun
something I
later, and
wanted
you can
to
like switch
check.
them out. And this was
Anyway,
actually where I
we should
quit
get back to
my
searching for Wesker and
my
Chris.
playthrough like earlier today. Was
Thanks,
I
Barry.
got all the way over here,
I owe you one.
and this is another big anachronism of this game. Is let's take a look at the inventory screen here. This is all of the inventory slots I have. I cannot have more items than this. I cannot carry more than 8 items, plus the lockpick and the defensive items. So I had 8 items when I went in there, and the whole thing is like you trade the broken shotgun for the working shotgun to make it so the trap doesn't trigger. But I couldn't pick up the working shotgun so I could put down the broken shotgun because I had 8 items. And at the time, this whole hallway out here was filled with zombies. I got kind of pissed off at that. Where are we? What are we doing?
So nobody
Alright,
answered my
so-
question. What was that zombie doing in the tub? Was it like, haha, I'm gonna get in this tub and surprise whoever comes in and they'll totally freak out? Or did
I
they
don't
die
know.
in the tub in their clothes? Did somebody place the zombie into the tub in order to create
damn
a
it.
trap?
The zombie's real into skincare. He was taking a I don't know. What's the skincare thing you can do in a bath? I don't know.
Nourishing cleanse.
Sure, one of those.
Well, it looks like he needed it. I mean, to be fair. And he probably could have stood a few more minutes of it, to be totally honest.
Oh shit. They can open... Oh, okay. So you want to talk about the controls in this game? So when this game first came out,
You might as well.
it had...
I'll be right back. By the
It
way.
had tank controls. So like I'm using a PS4 controller emulating a 360 controller right now. So I've got an analog stick, and I'm just like, you know, playing it like you would a normal game that has analog stick controls. But also the controller on the D-pad has it mapped to the old control system. So this is how the game plays when you've got tank controls. Is this very like sort of unnatural like turn the guy around.
The way it's meant to be
Up
played,
is
Josh.
forward. Yeah, this is the way it's meant to be played, which is probably the way that like I would quit playing it if I had to do it this way.
See, this is the problem I have with that entire like the. Never mind. Go ahead.
I didn't have anything to say after that. What's the problem that you have?
Well,
with
no, it's just part of what makes Resident Evil work in particular is the fact that it does a lot of things with its systems that are inherently uncomfortable and unappealing to the player. It has awkward tank controls that make movement and aiming incredibly difficult. It has a save system that frankly doesn't respect players' time, but the result is an attempt to build tension because it is hard to aim and shoot zombies or avoid zombies if you want to not shoot them. It is hard to save your progress and make progress. Again, grandfather of Bloodborne. But the modern, like, as much as we make fun of the modern games holding your hand thing, gamers don't really not want that. Gamers want the hand-holding. No one wants to repeat the segments, and no one wants to go back through stuff all over again, and nobody wants... Like, it's not a
Right.
popular thing when you do something that is... Even if it's intentional, even if it's to the benefit of the work overall, if it's something that is viewed as obnoxious or annoying or makes you do a section over again, it's immediately seen as quote-unquote bad design, even if it's to the benefit of the work overall. And all of Resident Evil's crappy stuff, the bad controls, the save stuff, is in service to the game trying to be scary, but people don't want that. And it's
Fair.
interesting to me how, like... We say we want, you know, we don't want hand-holding in
Are the
games,
humans
but
still
really
alive
that's
in
not
this
quite true.
madhouse? No.
Yeah, I mean,
Much
it's
safer here either.
this
Better
game
secure
kind
our
of
escape
preyed
route
on
first.
this whole
Gotta
like
be a back door somewhere.
All right then.
a lot of this stuff is super inconvenient,
Ciao.
and therefore it's scary because you're going to lose a lot of progress or get really frustrated if things go wrong. It was it wasn't like horror like we kind of think about horror necessarily. I mean, there was like the psychological horror aspect to an extent, but it was a lot more of like the idea of survival horror here was like if you screw up, it's kind of a big deal.
Right. Again, granddaddy of Bloodborne, and also we still see this today in other games. I mean, again, Alien Isolation tried to make the alien scarier by doing this. And I guess my question is that an invalid approach? Is disrespecting the player's time such a sin that a game trying to be scary can't make a case for itself doing that?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. And I think this genre in particular lends itself well to that kind of question, because horror is one of the genres where the emotion it's trying to convey arguably is not really squarely in the player's interest. You know, almost every other genre at some point boils down to wish fulfillment, to fantasy, in which, you know, giving the player good feelings is the goal. And, you know, it sort of gets murky when you're trying to make the player feel anxious and tense. I guess for me, it's a question of what kind of anxiety and tension does this sort of save system create?
Yes.
And is it the kind I'm looking for?
Yeah, exactly. You can make the game really stressful and tense, and some people love that. Oh man, it's been so long. Please be a save in this next room. Please be a save. Oh no, it's a zombie! They love that. And for them, you know, they don't get many games, so I totally understand that. I also think there's a bit of a risk versus reward thing going on in the mechanics, where the more risky you make it, the more rewarding it is to get through it for some people. This does not apply to me. I'm basing this on what people have said. But if the game pushes you further and makes you more uncomfortable, it makes it better for them until you die, in which case it's all ruined and you hate everything and you don't want to play the game anymore. And so it's, you know, how far can the game push it? How far can the game raise the tension, understanding that the further you push it, the more of the risk that it'll just sort of ruin the game for you.
Yeah. And of course, artistically, developers are willing to, you know, attempt whatever they like. But I think it's safe to say that when I am looking for like a survival horror experience, I'm looking for very specific emotions to be instilled in a very specific way. You know, I have a certain neediness there. Like, for example, if I bought like House Horror, the scariest game release of 2015, and it was like a flash point-and-click escape the room game, and I finished it in 5 minutes. I'm like, well, that was dumb. And then 20 minutes later, somebody bursts into my house and threatens to kill me with a chainsaw before revealing he was sent by the developers. I'm not going to say, that was a really interesting way in which they kind of generated horror through sort of coming at me in an unexpected... I would be actually very angry because I had signed a contract with the developers and they'd broken it.
Yeah.
The fact that they made me feel something doesn't mean I'm grateful.
Where is the last sword key door?
Oh, yes.
Do you want me to look it up?
The sword keys.
Because one of the things I do appreciate about this game that I wasn't expecting, and I'm hoping the game isn't messing with me and I need these items later, is once you use an item and there's no more uses for it in the game, it'll just say like, hey, this doesn't seem like it'll be useful anymore, should we discard it? So that it saves up, so that you can use the inventory space that it takes up. Alright, so there was a note that said that I can use this to... do I have this equipped? I should use this to summon the dogs. Oh, and then we'll get, Alright.
Nice doggy. You are not an animal person.
They're zombie dogs.
I'm glad Mumbles isn't here. She'd be angry with us.
She's squarely team dogs. She's watching right now, and she's like cheering for the dogs and booing Josh. And we're like, Mumbles is
stuff
evil
like that.
dogs, and she's like, it's Josh.
The damn switch.
A coin was hidden inside of the collar.
Of course.
And the coin
Because
is
that's what you
actually
do.
a fake key.
That just what? I just now saw
It's
that
not,
key,
but it's not
the
useful.
retractable-
Okay, so we're gonna go do this here. It's not useful as an actual key. It even says here, if we examine it, shaped like a key but lacks the rigidity to be used as one. So it's a fake key. So
A retractable
yeah,
fake
we want to
key
discard
hidden
the
in
dog whistle.
dog's
That's one of those things.
collar. What the hell, game? I've never seen that. That is the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen.
There was a note saying that it got that there was one there, but which way do I go? Do I need to?
I just love that Umbrella Corporation employee 375 needed this fake key, but needed a place to store it, and decided the best place to store it was in the zombie dog collar.
And a retractable
Yeah,
key.
and there's a whole note. There's like a 5-page note about like, hey, I stored the key in this dog's collar because I figured a beast would be
things
a
get
good
really
like
wild
guardian
Friday
for it.
night at the
And you're the only one who
Umbrella
can,
Corporation
who can
corporate
approach
party
him.
house.
That's really weird. What were they even trying? Like, what is that puzzle supposed to be? What does it mean? I don't even understand the point of that puzzle.
So okay, so this is I haven't shown this to you, but I died to this the other time. So this is the this is one of those adventure
I'm looking
gamey
forward to that.
puzzles. So we'll go up this way. I dig the door sounds. I think the door sounds are really cool.
No,
Oh,
the
there are
sound
ravens
engineering
in
in general is really nice.
I don't know why, but there were ravens. There were
Just-
no
I love
ravens
the
in this
sound of
room,
how
and there was
angry
a
they
dead
are.
zombie on the floor. Now there's no dead zombie on the floor, and there are a bunch of ravens.
Well, I mean, it makes no sense, but it also makes the whole place creepy because every time you come back through
Yeah.
a zone, it is you never know what you're gonna see.
You don't feel like, okay, I've cleared this area, and now it's all static, and I don't need to worry anymore.
I woke up a zombie, you guys.
I actually
Okay,
really
so you come
approve
in
of
here, and there's a bunch of shields talking about how death is really cool. And then there's this dude with a spiky shield on a train track, and talking about how death is really cool. And in the middle of the road here, there's this key. And this is the actual key. And yet again, we have an Indiana Jones trap of a
that. Why can't you
a
just
key
stand
with a
off
giant
to the side
fucking
there?
like, because they
Oh.
removed it. So if you take this and you put the key back, you know, it'll stop. But we want that key, so the solution to this puzzle is to go and find that note that tells you to go and use the dog whistle to go and kill the dog to take the collar that has a secret item on it that turns into a fake key, so that you can put the fake key into the indentation here where the real key was, so that you can
would like
stop
to
it
know-
from murdering you when you take it.
I would like to know where this self-aware indentation came from, that it can tell if it has a key in it or not.
It's the Umbrella Corp.
I like the idea that it's not really the Umbrella Corp. It's like contractors working for Umbrella, and they get the bills, and it's like, you know, $10,000 for elaborate evil night blade spinning trap, and they're like, "Hey Scott, what is this? What is what? this bill here for $10,000 for the evil night blade spinning trap?
Zombies.
Oh, that's
You
for
guys-
the elaborate."
I am definitely sticking with my party house idea. Oh man, it's great. It's just out in the middle of the woods. We've got this place where
Oh
me and
god.
the rest of the
Oh,
science
that's
team
that's
go.
not even fair.
And we just hang out sometimes, you know, get drunk for a weekend. Oh man, you
Oh,
know
okay,
the
I'm
crazy
leaving.
shit that happened. We got like completely hosed on Jägermeister, and I bet Phil that he couldn't make a zombie toxin into a bath bomb. And Jim went double or nothing on it, and he had to be the one to sit in the bath. And guess what? It worked. He's probably still in there.
One of the disadvantages of having like normal analog stick controls is that it kind of gets weird when the camera angle changes.
Yeah. Which, think about that if you were in the room with somebody and you saw them behaving that way, you see them running towards a door and then all of a sudden they make this snap 90-degree turn and slam face first into the wall beside the door, and then they turn to the side.
Where's this guy come from?
I like that he responded to you with sort of a, I don't know.
Look, I'm just minding my own business. Can we please just... Ah, fucking cop.
And I like that you're doing all these puzzles to open wooden doors. In an old house.
This is the... Alright, so we got plenty of save file options now.
It is weird
you
if you
have
think about
10?
it for 5 seconds how typewriters are the save things. Like, that's how old this game
like
is.
you're leaving a...
People had typewriters.
Take a musical score. What the hell is this? I haven't gotten this thing yet. I came into this room, I knew where this was, but I wasn't able to pick it up because I had a full inventory. Can we open it?
It's not classical
Can
horror
we
unless
read
you
the
find a music score lying around somewhere.
Maybe we can attach it to this piano.
What other games have had music scores as plot elements? Didn't Machine for Pigs do that?
It's not necessary to use this. Oh.
Eternal Darkness did that.
Was there one in
There was
Bioshock?
a German thing in Amnesia Machine for Pigs that you read.
Apparently,
during the episode,
musical
but
score is for the piano room. I just looked it up.
Is this not the piano room?
Well, I'm just reading a wiki.
Is there
I
a room
wanna
with
be
like
so
more
rich someday
pianos in it than
that
this
I've got a
bar?
mansion where somebody's standing in a room and they're like, I'm like, oh, I should show you the piano room, and they're like, this isn't the piano room. That's how you know you made it. Really, you can just insert anything for piano there.
Oh, there's
No,
two
this
musical
isn't
scores.
Theirs isn't the good piano room. The good piano room has Billy Joel in it. All the time.
Okay, so there's apparently
there
two...
we go. That's the last sword key. So now we can get rid of that key.
There's two musical scores, and you have to combine them together in your inventory to create a musical score.
Really, just
Mumbles.
depending on what noun you use, it just oscillates
Mumbles, why
wildly
aren't you
between
here?
like
I'm
triumphant
pretty
and
sure
super
this is
depressing.
cannibalism.
Like, here, let me
Piece
take
of
you to the
meat from
cakes
an unknown
room.
source.
This isn't the cake room? Here, let me take you to the booze room. This isn't the booze room, huh?
And there's no power to the elevator.
Then what's keeping the lights on? I'm ejected from this entire game. I can't believe in this world anymore because one thing has power and another thing doesn't.